Lucy Connolly was one of the instigators of the most widespread terror crises in years, right-wing terrorism. Now, after that, let me tell you, I hope Lucy Connolly sues Femi Oluwole's ass into oblivion. Slippery Starmer's ultimate political prisoner, Lucy Connolly, exited prison today after 380 days behind bars, and she exited to a changed Britain. She knows that too. Remember Lucy, a grieving mother and housewife who was locked up for a solitary tweet deleted within hours after Axel Rudakabana's Southport Massacre was the example this authoritarian Labour regime used to try and shut you up and shut me up. They wanted to use Lucy to terrify us into permanent silence, all while rapists and paedophiles and terror offenders were spared prison. But it hasn't worked. As the increasing migrant hotel uprising and Operation Raise the Colours has so gloriously proven. Now, I was honoured that the first people Lucy called on that journey out of HMP Peterborough today, where she was despicably manhandled by guards, was myself and Alison Pearson, my friend and partner in crime who has worked so hard to bring the real story of Lucy Connolly to the world. Now, I'm going to be honest with you, yesterday, Lucy didn't know how she would face the public again. Understandably, she has been left deeply traumatised by her barbaric and inhumane treatment in the hands of an out-of-control government. But today she got her fighting spirit back. She got her strength back as soon as she was reunited with her husband Ray and daughter Edie. And my sense is that with the Trump administration watching on, she's about to become the worst nightmare for two-tier care. Because I can tell you that Lucy has been following the events up and down the country, and she knows that the mainstream media can no longer be relied upon to tell you the truth, even as they drove her release to the top of the news agenda today.
Breaking news to bring you now. We're just hearing that Lucy Connolly has been released from prison. Lucy Connolly has been released from prison.
Because Lucy Connolly, who was jailed for stirring up racial hatred against asylum seekers online on the day of the Southport murders, according to the Crown Prosecution Service, she has been released from prison.
Lucy Connolly, we just heard, has now been released. We think it was quite a few hours ago, but it has been confirmed she's been released. So that is good news, breaking news there.
But much of the media still disgraced itself, as Nick Dixon pointed out. Note the very different headlines from the relatively decent Telegraph, so their headline, Lucy Connolly released from prison pretty straight, versus the pure enemy BBC, woman jailed for race hate post released from prison. But here's the thing. Once you hear from Lucy, you will know that this narrative of her as some type of far-right racist thug attempting to spread violence is nothing more than a hard-left fairy tale. She is you, she is me. Just a human being, a patriot deeply concerned about her country being destroyed in front of her very eyes. I'm proud that Outspoken has been Lucy's biggest champion from day one. When the entire MSM, and by the way, and not everyone likes to hear this, but it includes the Daily Mail, GB News and Talk TV, when they were horrendously deriding her, joining that pitchfork wavy mob, this is what I had to say about Lucy Connolly. So, Lucy's 12-year-old daughter, without her mother for up to 2.5 years. And I say anyone who thinks that Lucy should be locked up when violent men who attack women at petrol stations for not dressing conservatively enough, or when people like Hugh Edwards receive no custodial sentence for making child pornography, well, I think if they still think Lucy Connolly should be behind bars for such an extraordinarily long sentence, then they have truly lost the plot. But the sick and twisted authorities are having to come for women like Lucy, one of just 400 so-called rioters or social media criminals who are being locked up. And they're doing it because their far-right bogeyman is nothing more than a figment of the imagination. And after that, I got to know Lucy's husband, Raymond Connolly. He is a highly respected Conservative councillor, absolutely adored in his community, and a very good man. He came on Outspoken and told me this.
I went into the corridor and I went into the advocates' chambers. And I went in there and the advocate's there, and I said to him, he's there with his wig on and his black gown, and I said, what just happened just then? And he looked at me and just said, what do you expect when you've got a dictator running the country? So that's where the journey started, and 9 months later, we're here again.
What do you expect when you have a dictator running the country? Slowly but surely, over the past 9 months, and with the help of my friend Alison Pearson, we have been able to prove to the British public that Starmer has locked up an innocent mother for political expediency. Who can forget our Prime Minister's almost deranged comments, which I believe were clearly designed to influence the judiciary? Can you believe that more than half of you are watching this video but not subscribed? So please do me a huge favour, click the subscribe button now, turn on the notification bell so you'll be alerted to all of our brand new Outspoken videos.
Utterly condemn the far-right thuggery we've seen this weekend. Be in no doubt, those that have participated in this violence will face the full force of the law. The police will be making arrests, individuals will be held on remand, charges will follow, and convictions will follow. I guarantee you will regret taking part in this disorder, whether directly or those whipping up this action online and then running away themselves. The principles that I would apply. Firstly, I'm strongly in favour of free speech. We've had free speech in this country for a very, very long time, and we protect it fiercely. I'm equally, though, against incitement to violence against other people. That has long been an offence in our country, and rightly so. And so I say, don't know the details of this case, but free speech, yes. Incitement to violence, no.
Lucy didn't incite violence whatsoever. The words of her tweet included, "For all I care." But what's great is that soon former prime ministers were speaking out in support of Lucy Connolly.
In the very week when it has been decided that Lucy Connolly must serve her full 31 months in jail, even though she's a young mother with no previous criminal record, the Labour government has announced that it's going to release literally thousands of serious sexual and violent offenders because they say there's no room in our jails. Well, Shabana Mahmood, Justice Secretary, if you want to empty one jail cell and release one person who presents absolutely no threat to the British public, then free Lucy Connolly now.
This goes back to the point I'm making about the judicial system.
Yeah.
If we are clear about how judges are appointed in our system, it's obvious judgments have to be made on a case-by-case basis, according to the evidence. And we might not know all the details, Dan. But the problem is when the system is so opaque and people don't understand how people are appointed, what the procedures are, that is when you can lead to questioning of individual sentences. I mean, I think it is about restoring accountability to our system so that people understand who is responsible, because at present, that is simply unclear.
But what is clear is that the deep state wanted to shake Lucy up behind bars. They wanted to stun her, terrify her into silence, which included a terrible episode where she was manhandled by prison guards her mistreatment even being raised in Parliament.
That individual, whilst in prison, is allegedly the recipient of some violent maltreatment in prison, including being manhandled to the ground, handcuffed to the point where bruises 5 days later are significantly present on their hands. Imagine them being then dragged up not one, not two, but up 3 flights of stairs to the naughty girls' wing, as opposed to having been a model prisoner, having been promised to be taken to the good girls' wing. This is, of course, the consequence in a distant democracy where you think this cannot surely be valid. But, Mr. Speaker, it is with regret that I must bring you back to the reality of the situation, that actually this is the United Kingdom, and in the last few months, this has occurred.
What's even more shocking is that the persecution of Lucy Connolly was personally signed off by Starmer's Attorney General Richard Hermer. And most appallingly, it went against Starmer's own guidelines. As the Daily Telegraph reported today, he had previously suggested that people who swiftly deleted offensive social media statements should not necessarily face criminal action at all. In 2013, when Director of Public Prosecutions, Starmer introduced guidance for prosecutors to consider a more lenient approach towards suspects who swiftly deleted social media posts and expressed genuine remorse. Lucy Connolly did both. The guidance urged prosecutors to consider 4 factors where a prosecution is unlikely to be both necessary and proportionate. These included if swift and effective action has been taken by the suspect and/or others, for example, service providers, to remove the communications in question. But we know why. He wanted Lucy Connolly behind bars to shut you up and to shut me up. But Lucy has now become a figurehead for Britain's free speech betrayal. As Nigel Farage posted on X today, "Welcome to freedom, Lucy Connolly. You are now a symbol of Keir Starmer's authoritarian, broken, two-tier Britain." Rupert Lowe, who has invited Lucy to Westminster, added, "Lucy Connolly, today is the day she finally comes home. What has happened to that poor woman and her family is evil, no other word. The family know that I will support them however I can, and I look forward to welcoming Lucy to Parliament for our debate. Today is a good day." Tommy Robinson added, "Lucy Connolly has now been released. Now release the rest of the political prisoners." And indeed today, I think it was only the deranged hard left that was still intending to attack Lucy, with anti-Brexit virgin Femi Oluwole posting, "Today the UK right wing welcomes home a terrorist with open arms. Tomorrow they'll claim to care about national security to justify targeting black and brown people. Lucy Connolly was one of the instigators of the most widespread terror crises in years, right-wing terrorism." Now, after that, let me tell you, I hope Lucy Connolly sues Femi Oluwole's ass into oblivion. And here's the most important thing. America is now watching, with Trump's favourite newspaper, the New York Post, reporting that the UK faces a free speech crackdown that sees up to 30 people a day, including the brilliant Bernie Spofforth, arrested for petty offences such as retweets and cartoons. Some of the Trump administration's favourite journalists, including Charlie Kirk and Matt Walsh, have now taken up Lucy Connolly's cause. But first, the #1 worst fruit for your waistline. Look, are you turning healthy fruits into highly unhealthy fruits without even realising it? Fruit can be one of the healthiest things you can put into your body. But the majority of Americans are guilty of making this single mistake that can counteract all of the health benefits of fruit. Some fruits can help with occasional constipation, reduce bloating, and even help burn calories. Others can wreak havoc on your digestive system and energy levels. Now, I came across this viral presentation from world-renowned heart surgeon Dr. Stephen Gundry that showcases the 3 fruits to stop eating today. It was shocking. I had no idea. And after finding it out, I've stopped eating these too. I'm going to put a link for you all to watch it because I want you all to gain this information. I think it's truly important, actually. You can go watch it right now at thehealthyfat.com/outspoken. That's thehealthyfat.com/outspoken. I've also linked it in the description box below this video too, or if you're watching on YouTube or Rumble, you can just click on the QR code on screen or hold up your phone, to the QR code. You know how it works. Oh, and by the way, eliminating these fruits could forever change the way we help increase energy levels, decrease brain fog, support digestion, and even lose weight. So make sure to click on the link below or go to thehealthyfat.com/outspoken to find out now. Dr. Gundry has lost 70 pounds himself using his research and has kept the weight off for over 20 years and counting. His digestive issues are gone. His health is fantastic. He feels younger today than he did in his 40s. His video has been watched by over 20 million people to date. You can watch and learn more about it at thehealthyfat.com/outspoken. Just click on the link in the description box below this video. But now, back to the show.
To be clear, Lucy Connolly was not threatening to commit any act of violence. She wasn't saying that she was about to go out and torch a migrant hotel or kill any politician, nor did she tell anybody else to do it. There was no imminent threat of violence. She was expressing frustration, as she has every right to do in a free country. But the UK is not a free country, which is why Lucy Connolly, for the crime of sending that one tweet, was just sentenced to 2.5 years in prison. 2.5 years in prison for that tweet. Now, you may have heard about this case, especially now that the Trump administration says that it's monitoring, quote unquote, the situation. It's also been picked up by a few different outlets. But to really understand how pathological and disturbing this prosecution is, you need to see some of the details behind Lucy Connolly's appeal, which was just rejected by a panel of 3 judges.
A lady called Lucy Connolly, since you've been here.
Of course, I talked about her yesterday, and no one knew what I was talking about in Cambridge.
Who are you talking about? The students didn't know.
I mentioned her because I did the research. My team did an amazing job, and I think she just had her petition denied
in the last hour or so today, it's Tuesday today, she's had her appeal denied, so she's going to be carrying out her 2.5-year sentence for solitary tweets.
So outrageous.
Which she deleted 4 hours later. What's your take on the whole situation?
Well, I'm going to try to get the U.S. State Department involved. I don't know if, what their bandwidth is here, but I'm sorry, again, I'm speaking as a citizen, not as a U.S. government. I just want to be very clear. Is this a way that a liberal democracy and an ally of the United States acts? Just to be clear, what she said would not be any prison time in America.
No, it's not. It is not how an ally acts. And it's not how a country that invented free speech should be acting either. And trust me, there remains much to fear here in the United Kingdom. With another major US pro-MAGA voice, Tim Pool, suggesting that the UK is conquered. This was after a young man was said to be arrested for saying that he loves bacon, a statement which is apparently offensive to Muslims. Watch.
Okay, we want bacon. Why? Because I like bacon. I say he likes bacon. Oh. Actually, I'm not Are you getting this record?
So at this current rate, there will be many more Lucy Connollys. But something Lucy told me today is that she has been heartened to see the increasing patriotism and beautiful fight back being conducted up and down our country, including this long embrace of the St. George's flag.
Oh, sorry. Follow him, boys. Follow him.
Right, you can't might want to let these ones go. Keep going.
Wait, I'll come back. Stop watching.
Last two, thank you.
Cover him, don't let the old Bill see him.
picking up bucks.
There you go, legend. Let's go. Way! Where's the flag? That cover him up, cover him up.
Raise the colours indeed. And writing today in The Spectator, Rod Liddell summed up the situation best by saying that Slippery Starmer almost certainly thinks that people with too fond an affection for the Union Jack and the Cross of St. George are right-wing racists and entirely deplorable. Filed away in the back of his mind is the notion that it's probably just those football hoolies again, the ones who rioted last summer. What he is missing then is the importance of the current protest, the weight of numbers behind them, the fact that it is not just your usual suspects, the depth of anger it conceals and the problems which thus lie in store in the future. The UK is quickly tipping towards serious civil disorder in many parts of the country. Whitey has had more than enough. A clever government would work out why this might be and do something about it. Unfortunately, Rod Liddell says, we do not have one. Now, two-tier Keir believed Lucy Connolly was going to become a symbol of staying silent, a symbol of shutting us all up, shutting us all down in the disunited kingdom. But I argue that the opposite has happened. Her unjust imprisonment has made her a free speech martyr, whose voice I am convinced will soon become a big part of our national debate. Now, the superstar panel. And it is wonderful to have Kezia Noble and Leilani Dowding with me today. Leilani, Lucy Connolly is free. And she exits prison, I think, not just a free speech martyr, but someone who could cause serious embarrassment to Keir Starmer on the world stage.
I absolutely think so. To me, she is a hero. She's done time that she should never have had to do. It's completely, it's inconceivable to Americans. And it should be inconceivable to us that this would happen for something that she put up and then took down within 4 hours. I can't wait to hear her on your show and then hopefully hear her on everyone else's. She gets a platform to, really give her side of the story. I want to hear why she wasn't given bail. I want to hear, I saw Julie Hartley-Brewer tweet that she was told she would be remanded in custody for maybe up to a year if she didn't plead, which would obviously influence somebody, who's got a child. She probably, I'm sure the duty solicitor gave her pretty terrible advice saying that. But, when you look at people who have done far worse and ended up with suspended sentences, maybe she thought that by, pleading guilty, she would get, she wouldn't be put in jail. They would be lenient on her for coming forward. So I want to hear her side and see what happens. And I think that, as you said, it's wonderful that Matt Walsh, Charlie Kirk have, championed her cause. I hope to see her on their podcast. I hope Megyn Kelly speaks to her. I really hope she can get out her side of the story. And when people hear it, I think they are going to be even more disgusted in this government. And we must remember Peter Lynch, who was killed in jail.
God rest his soul.
Exactly. And, he'll
Wayne
never get a
O'Rourke
chance.
remains
Wayne O'Rourke, who's still
behind bars. Julie Sweeney remains behind bars. And it was all of these great people. This is the thing. It is the mainstream media who has absolutely taken on Lucy Connolly's cause after we did a lot of the work. And of course, I support that. But there's a lot of people like this good woman who they are completely forgetting. Kezia Noble, you are a free speech advocate. Well, I know for a fact that the US administration, the Trump administration, are looking very closely at Lucy Connolly. And I think this could put Slippery Starmer, remember, who lied to the face of J.D. Vance in the Oval Office, lied to the face of Donald Trump at Trump Turnberry, I think it could put him in a very precarious situation.
I agree. And I think that we need to see this as an opportunity to take a deep dive into the poison which is in the system. We're just looking right now at the government, and we're looking at Keir Starmer, and I know the buck stops with him, but we need to look at how this poison has now become part of the judicial system, even the prison system, journalism, the councils, the local councils especially, the media. This is not, he can't do all this unless he has the cooperation.
100%. Well, they're working together. They are absolutely working together. And I refuse, Kezia, to say anymore that we have a justice system. I believe we have a judiciary, and we have a judiciary that Keir Starmer proved is absolutely under the control of the deep state, because there is no reason when you look at the law that Lucy Connolly should have been remanded in custody. Lalani Dowding, I think what's really interesting, though, is that it's only the hard left nutters now who are anti-Lucy Connolly. I mean, we saw Narinder Kaur today. I mean, Femi Oluwole describing her as a terrorist. I want her to sue his virgin ass.
I agree with you, Dan. I mean, it's ridiculous that she was never put on terrorism charges. That was never part of it. So to say that is, is untrue. I hope she does sue, but as we know, the problem with that is it takes a lot of money to do that, and she's being locked up for the amount of time she has. So I hope that. I also want to say that it's wonderful that she's had this GoFundMe to to support her, because she's not been able to work, she's not been able to support her family. Maybe she can use some of that.
And
to
there are legal
actually
fees.
Do something
there are legal
nice.
fees. Even today, she was talking to me about the latest bill that had come in for thousands and thousands of pounds. So there really are a lot. I mean, can I just get you to respond, Kezia, to Narinder Kaur? Let's look at what she's had to say today. If you believe that Lucy Connolly was jailed for a tweet, then you also believe that incitement to racial hatred is acceptable behaviour. You do. End of. She quite rightly pleaded guilty as she had pled not guilty. I can guarantee she would have been sat in prison for several years given the context of her tweet, which was viewed over 300,000 times, and people did go and set alight hotels. Not to mention the fact she had tweeted racist tweets before, and she said she had played the mental health card. A reminder what the judge said: Lucy Connolly endangered life. Now, Kezia, I sat in the High Court during the appeal hearing. What Narinder is saying is just completely untrue. That the post was deleted days and days and days before there was any disorder outside any migrant hotels.
And also, all she actually wrote was "for all I care." She
yes.
didn't. She has no power. This is just a mother of one. She's not in charge of a party. She's not part of a party like Ricky Jones was. And I always say that all Lucy Connolly needed to do was just to add the two magic words at the end of her post, which is "Free Palestine." Because when you add those two words, "Free Palestine," what happens is it gives you complete absolution from all sin. That's all she really needed to do. The good thing about this, and there is just one silver lining, is that the person who is representing her legal solicitor, he's not going to have much work after this. I mean, who's going to be employing his services?
Oh, 100%. I mean, she was very, very badly let down. Yeah. Very, very badly let down. Because remember, Lalani, if she had ever faced a jury, she would have been able to tell them quite honestly the reason that she was so impacted by what happened, by that terrible crime committed by Axel Rudikabana, that act of Islamist terrorism. And yes, I do call it that, Lalani, even though the mainstream media won't, because the bloody cretin had downloaded an Al-Qaeda manual and was preparing ricin at his house. Okay, so it was an act of Islamist extremism, in my opinion. And remember, if she'd gone up in front of a jury, Lalani, they would have heard that the reason Lucy Connolly was so devastated is that she had a son. Harry Connolly. And Harry was 19 months when he died. And he died, Leilani, because of NHS neglect. And so Lucy Connolly knew what those parents of the victims of Axel Rudikabana were going to have to go through. I'm sorry, no jury would have ever convicted her, Narinder Kaur. No way.
I agree with you, Dan. I don't think they would have. Look at Ricky Jones. He did far worse. He was a far more influential figure than Lucy Connolly, as Kezia said. Just, you know, a mum with a little kid, and she probably has PTSD from what happened to her child. I don't know how a mother gets over something like that. You know, I've lost a dog.
You never do.
And that's the worst that's happened to me. I've lost a dog, and that devastated me. So a child, to me, it's unimaginable. So for this to have happened to these children must obviously bring her back to losing her own child. So she said something in anger. You know, it wasn't anywhere near as aggressive as Ricky Jones. And if a jury was happy to, you know, allow him to give his excuses that he gave, you know, because he may have got a racist comment back when he was a child, which was one of his defense arguments.
Oh, yes.
I don't think they would have, any sane person would not have, you know, found her guilty. But as I said, she wasn't allowed bail. It's huge. It really would mess with somebody's mind to say, for someone to say, we're remanding you in custody, you cannot go back and sort out, you know, anything that you need to do back at your home. We're going to keep you here. We don't know when your trial will be. You're just going to be locked up here. That's going to really affect somebody's, you know, somebody's state. And, you know, then to see that at the appeal, that was denied. You know, there, as Kezia said, there really is something wrong with the judicial system and the media, and it's a whole, you know, entity working together with this narrative. And as we saw, I think that it's very plain now that Keir Starmer is happy to go after anybody that kind of goes against his establishment narrative and the establishment narrative. And, you know, as long as it's only things that affect us peasants, like crime or pedos, then, you know, forget about them. We'll give them suspended sentences. Even if they plead guilty, they can have a suspended sentence, and we'll just, you know, really come down on those people and make an example of them that really rock the establishment.
Thank you so much for watching Dan Wootton Outspoken. Please click on my face just to the bottom left to subscribe to this brand new independent news source, and turn on the notification bell so you'll be alerted to our brand new live shows, uncancelled interviews, and special royal episodes. Outspoken is also now available as a podcast, so you can listen to the show every weekday on the go, wherever you are.